Well, today we're getting some news on Concord that I think is both surprising but also not at the same time, and I'll explain what I mean. If we head over to the PlayStation blog, Sony posted an important update on Concord, and this was actually written up by Ryan Ellis, the game director at Firewalk Studios. And they say, Concord fans, we've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch on Concord on PS5 and PC, and want to thank everyone who has joined the journey aboard the North Star. Your support and the passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. However, while many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game and our initial launch did not land the way we'd intended. Therefore, at this time, we've decided to take the game offline beginning September 6th, 2024, and explore options, including those that will better reach our players. While we determine the best path ahead, Concord sales will cease immediately, and we will begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased the game for PS5 or PC. If you purchase the game for PlayStation 5 from the PlayStation Store or PlayStation Direct, a refund will be issued back to your original payment method. They say here customers who purchased from the digital storefronts will also be refunded, and they then proceed to post how you can get refunded on Steam, Epic Game Store, or other retailers. Now, it's worth noting Sony has completely closed the comment section on their blog as well as over on Twitter when they posted this. And the reason why I said this is both surprising and not at the same time is because on one hand, it is quite shocking to see this game is getting shut down and pulled from storefronts in literally 2 weeks. By the time it is taken offline on September 6th, that would have been 2 full weeks that this game has been out, and then it's just gone. But it's also not surprising when you consider everything surrounding the game. It seems abundantly clear by this point, if it wasn't already for many people kind of watching this situation on the outside, that this game should have been canceled. The question that I think a lot of people are left with now is, what happens now? What's next? And I think there is a reason for people to be asking this question, because if you look closely at the blog post here, they say explore options, including those that will better reach our players. Really have to wonder what that means, because when they say our players, well, why is the game being shut down in the first place? The game is being shut down because apparently it sold less than 25,000 copies and there are basically no players. People are already complaining that they can't match with other players in the game, which is crazy because, again, the game hasn't even been out for a full 2 weeks. So I'm not really sure what they mean by that. A lot of people are assuming they're going to go free to play, but I want to say this right now. Sony, drop it. Don't do anything with this game. It's over. There's nothing you can do to salvage Concord. You gave it your best shot, which you shouldn't have even done in the first place, because everybody saw this coming from a mile away. Everybody knew this game was going to fail and fail hard. Now, did everybody know it was going to be one of the biggest failures in gaming history? No, I don't necessarily fault anybody for assuming that. And what's interesting is you have to imagine the reason why Sony went through with releasing this game is because they probably thought to themselves, you know what? It's going to be bad, but it's probably not going to be that bad. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Surely we'll get some sales. Surely we'll make at least a little bit of money. And who knows, maybe as time goes on, it'll find its own player base. But it turns out that no, it actually was that bad. In fact, it's so bad. Again, Sony is refunding anybody who bought this game. People who bought this game, people who were interested, the few people that were interested in genuinely playing this game will no longer be able to play this game. If they decide to go free to play, it's not going to help the game. It's just going to create a whole nother round and wave of backlash, and it's going to fail as a free to play title as well. So I feel like Sony has basically two options here. Option number one, make this the last time we ever hear about Concord. Although it is worth noting that, as I've mentioned previously, There is a dedicated episode in the upcoming Amazon series dedicated to video gaming called Secret Level. There's a whole episode of that anthology series dedicated specifically to Concord. So that's going to be pretty awkward. I'm not sure if Sony can do anything to kind of like pull that episode before it airs, but I kind of hope they're able to, because man, that's going to be really weird. So putting that aside, they have the option to just make this the last time we ever hear about Concord. 3 days from now, the same day Astrobot ironically releases, it shuts down and everybody just moves on, and everybody basically pretends it never happened. Option 2 is they actually think they can do something with this IP, and they make the mistake of trying again. And I really sincerely hope this isn't what they do, because the message, I did mention this in a video that I made talking about Concord a couple days ago, and what I said was I want Sony to receive a message. I hope they received a message. I think that the gamers, the community, we sent the message, but we still had that kind of question, like, was it received? I think this clearly tells us message received loud and clear. But a big part of that message, mind you, is not just that we don't want to play this game, we're not going to support this game. A big part of the message is you shouldn't have went through with this game in the first place. You got to go back to the drawing board and figure it out, Sony. Go back to some of your classic IPs. If you don't want to do that, at least come up with something better than Concord. That's a whole half of the message that we sent. And I hope that Sony received the entire message and they understand the entire message from top to bottom. They understand that whatever they thought they saw in this game, they saw it in a bubble. They understand that they probably shouldn't have gone through with actually releasing this. It would have been better off to just cancel it. Most importantly, they understand going forward that they have to pay much closer attention to their actual fan base. And this is where I really want to kind of wrap this video up and put the most emphasis. Going forward, Sony needs to listen to their fan base. I said this in my previous video, and it needs to be said once again here. Replace Concord with Killzone. Replace Concord with Resistance. Replace Concord with SOCOM. Replace Concord with any one of those classic multiplayer PlayStation IPs. We wouldn't be reading this blog right now. You would not be reading a blog post about how the new SOCOM game, the new Killzone game, the new Resistance game is being shut down 2 weeks after launch. Wouldn't exist. Not saying it would be a massive seller, massive colossal hit, next level live service success. I'm not saying that either, but it wouldn't be this. It would be right where it needs to be, in my opinion, which is probably somewhere right in the middle, where it appeals to the actual audience that is here on PlayStation asking for these games. You know, the people that are going out there supporting Sony and their consoles for many years. And I'm not necessarily saying these games would generate a whole new audience, but that's what's so ironic about something like Concord is, you know, for a fact, Concord was created to try to bring in this whole new audience and appeal to the modern audience and whatever they want to call it. And it failed spectacularly. So what I think Sony absolutely needs to do right now, go back to the drawing board, really think if you're going to continue down this live service road, which I suspect they will, and start tapping into your classic IPs, because I guarantee you, while you may not find the biggest success in the world, I'm not saying SOCOM's going to be the next Fortnite or something like that, you won't have to deal with something like this. You won't have to deal with this level of humiliation and embarrassment and failure. I can guarantee that. But there's also the other elephant in the room, or multiple elephants in the room, I guess, and that is, what about upcoming live service games that have already been announced, such as Fair Games from Haven? Again, sorry to sound like a broken record, but I said previously that studio is probably shaking right now, because if you go watch that Fair Games trailer, not looking too good. Basically getting the same reception that Concord is. So you gotta wonder, what do you do here, Sony? Do you A, just go through with releasing the game, B, cancel the game, or C, completely rework the game, which will take more time, money, and resource. I mean, I'm going to be honest here. If it's anything like Concord, which it's kind of looking like it might be, I'm thinking you just go with B and you cancel it. Just being real right now. But who knows? Maybe they can rework the game. Maybe they still have some time. But you think about something like Bungie's Marathon, same situation. Every single thing we've heard about Marathon has been bad. We've not heard a single good thing about Marathon. Really have to wonder, is it going to be worth it? Yes, it will have the Bungie name behind it. And maybe Sony just looks at it as, hey, that'll be enough, right? To just get some kind of audience. But I really hope Sony is aware of the reputational damage they are taking with every attempt like this, where it's just so clear to everybody looking in from the outside that, what are you doing? What are you doing? Get it together, Sony. So I hope that this is the beginning of Sony getting it together, specifically in the live service multiplayer space. Like I said in my last video, we have plenty to look forward to. I'm excited for Astrobot. I'm excited to see some Death Stranding 2. I'm excited for the PS5 Pro. I'm excited for games like Ghost of Tsushima, Santa Monica's new IP, whatever Blue Point's working on next. I'm not trying to make it sound like it's over, like some other people will. It's not. But I do need to definitely acknowledge that this is a colossal historical disaster that could have been easily avoided and simply was not for whatever reason. So, hard lessons being learned by Sony. One last thing I want to say here, because I know I keep kind of extending this video, but I do need to mention this because people are going to ask, and they have been asking, what does this mean for Firewalk? Well, to keep it short and simple, it's not good. I don't necessarily know that I feel confident in saying they're going to get closed down. That is very extreme. They are a AAA developer. Sony paid probably a pretty penny for them. They have 150 devs the last time we checked, but they are located in Washington, so they're an expensive studio. I imagine at the very least there will be significant layoffs, but it is, I mean, we're looking at a failure on a level that we've never seen from PlayStation before. So we've seen studios get shut down for way less than what Concord just did. I want people to keep that in mind. And I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying it's the reality of it, man. It's the reality of it. So I don't think it's looking good for Firewalk. We'll have to kind of see what Sony ends up doing there. But guys, that's going to do it for the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it informative. If you did, leave it a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.